mundane scholars dealing with petty things. As there are differences in the living conditions on different planets of the universe, and as one planet is superior to others, the brains of living entities in those respective planets are also of different categorical values. So he is wanting us to understand that someone may hear about the activities of Krishna, not understanding who Krishna is. They'll look at Krishna as, well, there's a few options. Maybe, here's Prabhupada's little list. Maybe one of the demigods, maybe an historical person, maybe it never happened, it's just a myth. But to understand the topics of Krishna, it helps to understand how great he is by understanding how the material energy is working under his direction. So that's the entry point. Then Prabhupada marvels that it's 7 days until he's going to die. And Maharaj Pariksit asks about the universes. Might seem strange. How many people on a deathbed said, "Can you tell me about the universe? How it works?" And he did not ask Shukadeva Goswami to narrate Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. He wanted to first hear about the creation of the Lord. Likewise, Shukadeva Goswami did not say that the king should hear about the direct transcendental pastimes of the Lord. Time was very short. And naturally, Shukadeva Goswami could have directly gone to the 10th canto to make a shortcut of the whole thing, as is done by the professional reciters. But neither the king nor the great speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam jumped up like the organizers of Bhagavad Kathas. Both of them proceeded systematically so that both future readers and hearers might take lessons from the example of the procedure of reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. Now this is the part I highlighted. Those who are in control of the external energy of the Lord, that's the demigods, or in other words, those who are in the material energy, must first of all know the external energy of the Lord, how it is working under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and afterwards one may try to enter into the activities of his internal energy. So, thus approaching the lotus feet of the Lord. Sambandha Gyan. How is everything situated in relation to him? What is the relationship of all of this awesome, powerful material energy? And the wielders of this material energy, what's their relationship with the source of everything? The mundaners are mostly worshippers of Durga Devi, the external energy of Krishna, but they do not know that Durga Devi is but the shadow energy of the Lord. Behind her astonishing display of material workings is the direction of the Lord as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9:10, Maya Dhyakshena Prakriti. Only when one knows Lord Krishna's greatness can one firmly put one's unflinching faith in him. This is the same, how great is God? If we understand how great is God, it's much easier to love Him. To say God exists, that's nice. That's a step beyond the atheists. Now, how great is God? To hear how great is God factually inspires one in devotion to Him. At least it should, if we're honest, if our hearts are not hard. Just like if you're in the presence of a great person in the world, well, what people consider to be great persons in the world today is another thing. I've experienced in New York with the India Independence Day Parade, they have a sure way to get the maximum audience. You want to guess? Invite a Bollywood star or one of the big cricket players, and they get a big audience. And as soon as that person leaves, it's over. The event is over, because the event is that person. Because or supposing, at the university, the governor of the state was going to pay a visit, or the presidential elections are coming up. Supposing one of those guys running. They want to, get some votes, so they were going to come to the campus. What would happen? So many students would come to turn out, because he's a great personality. That's just a mundane personality. What to speak of the Supreme? If we could understand how great that sound vibration of how great is God is not different than God. Being in the presence of that sound vibration will inspire or evoke some interest to try to do something for Him, to serve Him. That's the idea. Not just duty or guilt if you don't, but genuine inspiration and purification. So therefore, Maharaj Parikshit wants to go more deeply in this subject. It goes on for several chapters. So the questions he asks about the process of creation, and then Shukadeva Goswami describing. And I don't know if they have any courses in civil engineering on this topic, or electrical engineering, or mechanical engineering, or any kind of engineering. But it's right here in Srimad Bhagavatam by Professor Shukadeva. Who heard it from Dean Vyas. Okay. And with that, we'll continue tomorrow morning. Any comments or questions?
Guru Maharaj, especially these topics about creation and so on, it seems that only a devotee can possibly recite them to invoke that inspiration, whereas someone can easily get attracted by discussions of pastimes of Krishna, like the 10th canto pastime and so on. That could be more easily pretended by someone who is not pure, whereas the discussion on these types of topics, to me it appears that only be described in an inspiring manner by someone who has actually got the affection for Krishna.
Well, another perspective on that is those that don't have attraction for Krishna but have some fascination for Gyan might become attracted to the technical aspect of how it all fits together, and next thing you know, they just discovered they're in touch with Krishna. In other words, impersonalists like Sankhya philosophy. How do things fit together? How does it all work? I can say, from my experience in the beginnings of Krishna consciousness, I had such attraction. It wasn't so much for, out of devotion for Krishna. I was like fascinated by how it all fits together. And I would spend significant amounts of intellectual energy trying to sort it all out. Then I realized that's not giving me any taste or any real happiness to see how it all fits together or sort it out. Real happiness is attraction to Krishna. But then that's because I was hearing from a pure devotee who was giving me Krishna, and my radar was looking for information. So the information was there, and behind the information was Krishna. So your point was only one who has a taste in devotion for Krishna can present it in an attractive manner. Is your point? Yes, what attractive manner for a devotee means that Krishna is there in the whole experience. But for one who's a neophyte, they may be attracted to someone who's giving lots of information. Like with chanting. Similarly, in America today, in the yoga circuit, chanting, they call it specifically bhajan. I don't even know if they know what the word means. It just means singing, but bhajan. And it's becoming really fashionable. And the persons who are singing are impersonalists. But people are attracted. And those persons aren't delivering Krishna bhakti. They're singing attractive. And some of them are even so attractive. Their musical skill. But there's something about it that's soothing or calming or something like that. So intellectuals are attracted to intellectual stuff, and ordinary people may be attracted to nice music, soothing music. The real test, though, is Krishna Bhakti being awakened? That's the real test. As Prabhupada would say, out of all the translations of Bhagavad Gita, where's there one devotee of Krishna? Where's the one person who has dedicated their life to serving Krishna for reading so many Bhagavad Gitas? And so much discussion goes on in academia about the cause of creation. They don't use the word creation, the cause of life. And people they get really absorbed in it without any real spirit of devotion behind it. And so the real test is, from the Bhagavatam perspective at least, is where's the devotee? Where's the devotion? So the same subject matter from Shukadeva Goswami is enlivening Maharaj Parikshit, who has no shelter in anything material. Shukadeva has no shelter in anything material. Talking about creation. Apparently just, explicitly material subject matter. Both becoming transcendently enlivened. And it's not just exchanging information. That's the qualification of the speaker, yes. And the qualification of the listener also. Anything else?
You mentioned hearing about how great God is will evoke a sense of responsibility and wanting to
do something, wanting to serve Him, yeah.
So that's not happening, then the hearing process, the hearer is not hearing with rapt attention.
Well, from the third chapter, the heart is steel framed. And then Prabhupada explains that means there's offenses in chanting. Starting with inattentiveness. And so forth. So the hearing process is not being carried out properly. So it's not, that's not a shame on you kind of you should feel bad kind of a message. It's just a factual statement. There's, when a qualified person like Shukadeva Swami is speaking, and one is the conditions that are laid out, and one is paying attention, and the heart doesn't change, then there's offenses. Something wrong in the hearing process, yeah. So fix the problem. Don't feel bad. Fix the problem, and it may take some time, because how long? Giriraj Maharaj was describing that in Juhu, he was with Srila Prabhupada in his quarters upstairs at the Juhu temple, chanting with Prabhupada in the morning. Prabhupada would do that in the morning hours, invite some devotees, and they would chant together. And then Prabhupada paused and spoke to Giriraj Maharaj and said, to chant the way that I'm now chanting took me 30 years of practice. And Giriraj Maharaj, the young man, was thinking, wow, 30 years.
Hare Krishna. We'll stop here. Anybody is having any comments, point, discuss? Yes, Chinakesha.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Today I like very much from Maharaj is explaining about why Maharaj Parikshit is not asking about pastimes of Krishna, and he is asking about the creation of God. So that how God is great, and that explanation I like very much. And when there is a event has to be successful, people used to ask in mundane material things like great personalities like heroes or cricketers. They used to ask for the event their presence, so that they can gather crowd for the event successful. So similarly, Maharaj was explaining about God creations, how it is great. That's it. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Yes, Sharvari Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yes, just to add to what Chennakesha Prabhu said, it is basically the order of Srimad Bhagavatam is so important, reading it in sequence rather than jumping to the 10th canto. And that is how Parikshit Maharaj, even on deathbed, he isn't interested in the pastimes of the Lord. Rather than that, he is focusing on the creation part, which belongs to the initial chapters of Srimad Bhagavatam, and that would become a very qualified listener, preacher. So that is very nice. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Oji Dandar Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please.
Very nice lecture, bro. Very nice, really. A lot of points I've noted down. So one is to start. I'll try to attempt a small summary. One is it's very important to hear what to hear and from whom to hear. That's how Maharaj started the whole lecture. And Maharaj mentioned that there are various gradations in consciousness, just like how there are different species, different planets, different types of living entities. Also, the brain capacity, the consciousness also is different amongst different species. Maharaj nicely gave the example of crows and swans is given in the first canto.
Mhm.
Then, as you was explaining the in the lecture, as you was explaining, Maharaj appreciated Srila Prabhupada's purport very nicely, very brilliantly written purport, and he just tried to give some points from that.
Mhm.
Then he Maharaj mentioned that for a person who knows how things work, it's important. So experience person knows how things works. He gave the example of fax machine, which he himself was wondering how is it possible. So that's nice. This is connected to how the gradations of understanding of people. So it's different. It's not the same that everybody knows everything in the same way. So
Mhm.
it is nice for us also to keep in mind. Then after that, one more thing which Maharaj very nicely mentioned was why Maharaj Parikshit inquired about creation. He nicely explained that a person on a deathbed, nobody is going to be interested in creation of the material universe. And Maharaj brought about this point that this is an entry point for us, that we have to first, a person in the material world should understand the material energy. So instead of
Okay.
directly jumping to the 10th canto, Srila Prabhupada repeats this multiple times, that
Mhm.
we should not directly jump to the 10th canto. We should go gradually from the first canto, understand so many things, and then only come to the lotus face of the Lord. So this Maharaj re-emphasized this very nicely.
Mhm.
So that is nice. And Maharaj also sort of gave a small conclusion here that only when one knows about Krishna's greatness can we put full faith in him. And he mentioned that this inspires devotion in him. And if you're honest, that is. And Maharaj brought about the philosophy that the sound vibration is not different from Krishna. And this is what we should be inspired by through chanting. We should get inspired to serve him. And this also leads to purification. That's one. So, one's question over here, I'll just ask and I'll continue for some more points. One question here is I just want to understand the reconciliation, Prabhus, that here Maharaj mentions that if we understand Krishna's greatness, can we do full devotion to him? I just want to understand the gopis of Vrindavan. Their mood is slightly it's different. It's full love for Krishna. So how is the connection between understanding full Krishna's greatness and then serving him compared to the gopis' devotion to Krishna? So this reconciliation would be nice, Prabhu, to have. That is one. Then continuing on, I like really when Maharaj shared his realization after the question which one of the devotees asked him. Maharaj mentioned that initially he himself was sort of wanting to understand many things together. He wanted to fit everything, and he sort of told us that it's not. That's not the ultimate thing. The ultimate thing is behind all the things which he tried to reconcile was Krishna. Krishna. So that is very nice. And he mentioned that the real happiness is attraction to Krishna. So that also I liked very much, Prabhu. And people who are generally intellectual, they look for intellectual things. People who are ordinary, they look for nice music and things like that. He also gave some example of devotees who do bhajans and kirtans. But Maharaj mentioned that the real test for us is Krishna Bhakti awakened. And
Mhm.
he mentioned that Srila Prabhupada has dedicated his life for Krishna. So another question which comes here is that how do we understand this part, Prabhu? The real test of bhakti, is it awakened for us? So that's the thing, Prabhu. And to conclude, Maharaj, probably answering another question would be that offenses part, because why is our heart, because this we've been discussing about the steel framed heart, why is the heart still steel framed? And that's because Maharaj properly, very nicely, the crux of it all mentioned that inattentive chanting
Mhm.
and hearing might not be proper, because of which this leads to offenses. So instead of worrying about the problem, instead of feeling bad about the problem, we have to fix the problem. That's the takeaway of for us, is to try and improve the quality of our chanting and hearing. And very nicely, Maharaj mentioned the example of Giriraj Swami Maharaj, that when he was chanting with Srila Prabhupada mentioned that it took 30 years to come to this stage. So that's a ballpark for us to understand the timeline, sort of. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. You have covered almost all the points. Very nicely explained. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Anybody would like to address Prabhu's question? First question he asks is how, if we understand the greatness of the Gopi, greatness of the Krishna, then we will be able to do the devotional service. But how we can understand that with the Gopi's love toward the Krishna? Am I right, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Um, I I will just answer what I think for Prabhuji's question. I don't know that is the answer or not, but this is the gradual process. It's I mean, how I understand, it's like you can meet the college principal during your graduation ceremony in your 10th standard or in your 12th standard, but when you are in the first or second standard, you can't meet. You will not be entertained in person as when you are in the graduation ceremony of your college or school. So when you are in first and second, you will have to study your courses, gradually go to that standard, go to that stage of graduation ceremony, and then probably you will meet in person, informal way or something. So gopis are actually not like us. They have already done all these process of knowing how great is the God, or what is his what are his capacities, and what is he actually. So it is in it is not one birth in Hinduism, or Sanatan Dharma. It is not one birth. So they have already spent many births in knowing Krishna, in understanding Krishna, and now they are at the platform of just pure loving Krishna. So now when we see them in the form of gopis, we feel that they are illiterate, they don't know anything, but they have done all everything in the past. Now they are at the stage when they have understood everything. They decided what is good for them, and they desired only for the pure love, and that is what they got in that birth. We are not there. So we have to follow our first standard, second standard, and then probably I wish, I pray to all devotees that we all will move in that platform. So that's what I think, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank
Yes.
you, Maharaj.
Yeah. Kumarika Mataji. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, just to add to what Shweta Mataji said, yes, there are different categories of bhaktas also. One category is the spontaneous devotion, one who are ragatmika bhaktas. The gopis are already perfected souls and nitya parshad, that means associates of the Lord. And the Lord, when he descends with these close associates also to have his loving exchanges with them. And as Mataji said, yes, they are perfected souls, and sometimes they know also the greatness of Krishna. Krishna does show Yashodamai the whole universe in his mouth twice. But then the Yoga Maya potency of Krishna wants to keep Yashoda always in that loving mood of Vatsalya Bhav. So the Yoga Maya potency, purposely, it clouds, bewilders them, and they may immediately next minute will say, no, 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 no. He is not the Supreme Lord or anything. He is my child. He needs me. So that is also there. Sometimes how is it possible for Nanda Maharaj to not to understand that his son, who is being even paid obeisances by Varuna Deva, one of the demigods, and he is protecting him, and he is uh, actually protecting him from death. Twice or thrice it happens. So he knows. he has shown the whole the spiritual world is shown to the Gopas because they wanted to see the senior Gopas. So the Lord shows them. But again, the Yoga Maya will act on them. So they know at times they will even discuss, yes, he is Narayana himself. He is the Supreme Lord. But then the Yoga Maya potency will act on them so that Krishna wants to keep their love intact so that he has got that rasa with them. It is not that they do not know, they are made to forget.
Thank you, Mataji.
Mm. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. Prabhu, your second question was about like how do we understand the real test of bhakti, right? Uh,
Yes, bro. How is the bhakti awakened?
oh,
In line with what Maharaj said, bro. In connection to that.
yeah. Anybody would like to address this?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear. Second question was, can you please repeat, bro?
Sorry, Prabhu. So
Yeah.
Maharaj mentioned that for intellectual people, there is this intellectual things they're looking for. The ordinary people, they look for this music, kirtan, bhajan. So Maharaj was giving the example of the impersonalists also who do kirtan and bhajan. So, but Maharaj finally said that the real test is Krishna Bhakti awakened. So, and Maharaj mentioned that Srila Prabhupada is dedicated his life for a person who's dedicated his life for Krishna. So that's the real test. In that connection, how do we understand Prabhu if Bhakti is awakened? Is it okay, Prabhu?
I still didn't get the question, Prabhu. Like, I mean, I didn't get what exactly you're asking as a question. That's why I'm asking. Like,
So,
can you?
is Krishna Bhakti awakened? That Maharaj mentioned that is a real test. So for us, how do we know that if that is done,
Okay.
Prabhu? Like that, in that connection, Prabhu.
Maybe I'll go with your first question, Prabhu, and then come. It's linked in one sense to your second question. Creation also includes how different elements of matter are formed, which includes mind, which includes intelligence. How so? There's a detailed process which will come very shortly, little in the second, little more in the third, like that, and we'll get it further more in the rest of the cantos on how successive conditioning actually creates our mind, our intelligence, etc. And one of the purposes of understanding this creation here is that it is due to the touch with something that is not helping us, that is matter and material energy, that we perceive things of this world the way we are doing it. And we are so attached to doing things our way. Sometimes it is important and helpful for us to know that I am possibly conditioned here. It's not exactly probably what I'm thinking as right may actually be wrong. So, in order to throw a mirror or show a mirror to us, the Shastras give us this whole detailed spin on the creation because it's important for us to note that if I am thinking in a particular way, if I have emotions in a particular way, then it's probably due to this conditioned existence. And quite often, we approach transcendence through our conditioning because it's just like a man who's covered by a blanket. He can only reach out to the world outside him with the blanket that is covered. Slowly, the blanket becomes like a plastic cover, a transparent plastic cover. Then it becomes a plastic cover which has holes in it, in which one can really breathe. One is so this analogy is similar to one that cannot even Like when one is covered by a blanket, one cannot see what is transcendence, one cannot feel it, nothing. But one just feels like I'm struggling in this world. And when you have a plastic cover, one cannot breathe, one is suffocated inside this world, but one sees there is something outside in this world which one has to come to. And then as you make holes in the plastic cover, then slowly we start breathing. We, the world has less of an impact on us because we're able to breathe. In that way, we get to know that it's that I am covered and I have to change my condition. And the thing here is the conditioning changes, or this blanket to plastic cover to the plastic cover with the holes, it changes proportional to the degree to which we, number one, reach out to Krishna and his associates, and to our conviction that this blanket is not what I am. And gradually we come to the stage of this plastic cover, transparent plastic cover. And it's so easy that, yeah, I'm actually seeing this whole world outside, but we are still covered by this plastic cover. So that's like the mode of goodness kind of a thing. We are not even, we may be conditioned even in the mode of goodness, and we'll have to remove that too. So the whole topic of creation helps us to understand how the three modes of material nature impair our ability to actually experience spiritual reality. That's one of the reasons. The first one. Um, Second one that you asked now, maybe I think it's already late, 7:12. It will take some more time. We can keep it for tomorrow. It will take at least 5 minutes, I think. So can we have it tomorrow?
Yes, bro. Uh,
Or maybe I'll just tell it quickly. Yeah, I'll try to cut it short. Approaching transcendence while we are here in this material world. I'll just say one of the 3-4 points that I have in mind here. I'll tell the rest tomorrow. Approaching transcendence while we are here in this material world requires us to be ready to what happens in the transcendental world. In the transcendental world, Krishna's nature is raso vaisaha. He is full of rasa. Rasa means there is an exchange, and one has to be ready for the exchange. And part of that exchange is that sometimes Krishna plays the flute, sometimes Krishna sings, sometimes the gopis sing. And we are either bystanders looking at it or we are participants in it. It is that eagerness for willingness to be actively engaged in that relationship is the one which comes, which is the first, which is one of the things that's important for us to go to the spiritual world. In other words, our proclivity in this and conditioning in this material world is, how can I sit in my place and get everybody to do whatever I want? And that's more so with this mobile phone these days. I can click a button and then just have something delivered to my house, whatever I want. It can be gold. We can get gold delivered at home. We can get food delivered at home. We can get groceries delivered to the home. Anything. But the aspect which helps us there, like this whole series of knowledges which is leading us over there, is how I can use what I have and even manifest something if it is not there in this world to please the devotees of Krishna. And that is one pleasing is one, but another aspect of it is having the same feel, like empathizing and going to the depths of the feelings which the other devotees have. That's important. And to know that is where we'll come to the stage. It ties back to your first question about creation. sometimes we see emotions of devotees, pure devotees, just on the basis of the emotions that we have, and we think it's just like our mundane emotions. It's true to a little extent that the mundane emotions give us a blueprint for the transcendental emotions, but there are certain differences, and that's why this whole creation topic becomes important to distinguish or no, I wouldn't say the word distinguish, to understand what is transcendent from what is immanent, from what is available and pervasive in this world. Get to know what transcendence looks like. But then I haven't come to the core part of your question yet. I'll probably we can discuss it tomorrow. Hmm?
Thanks a lot, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, bro. Anybody like to add anything, share any final comment? Okay, we'll stop here today. Vanchakal Padrubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyo Patitanam Pavanebhyo